Apple moving to Apple Silicon has been absolutely amazing, has been the change that they needed to be able to get the dream that they wanted of having thin, ultra-portable and long-lasting battery life. But are MacBooks just getting boring now? And this is the question that everyone has been asking. Like, how often do they really need to upgrade their chips? Because there are still people that are on the M1 Max chip, even though they're massive techies and need the newest products. Now, if we look at like Marcus Brownlee, Mr. Who's the Boss, like, people have kept their MacBooks. They've kept them for a long amount of time. Now, before this would have seemed absolutely insane. You know, people that absolutely love tech, staying on 2-generational old tech, it's crazy. But at the same time, it's not, because Apple Silicon is absolutely insanely powerful and can last for as long as it needs to. And that is kind of what I'm aiming for today, is try to get people to understand that you do not need to upgrade your laptop every year. And also, Apple need to understand that they need to make their laptop in a bit more understandable. What are they doing with it? What are they keeping? What are they getting rid of? If they're going to upgrade the chips, they need to upgrade everything at the same time. Because if we look at the new MacBook Air that's just come out a couple of weeks back, it's very confusing. Because the Mac Studio hasn't got the M3 Max upgrade, but every single thing else has got an M3 upgrade. Even the iPad Pro hasn't got the upgrade yet. So we're now just all kind of sitting back waiting for M3 to come to all these new devices. And it's kind of weird, because if we look at the iMac, that didn't get the M3 chip until literally a couple months back. It's kind of weird. That stuck with the M1 for 2 generations. Now, is that weird? Yes. Also, do I understand why they've done this? Yes. With the M3 Max chip, and just with the M3 chip in general, it's not a massive leap from the M2 or really even the M1. Now, yes, you'll get quicker exports and you'll get quicker pictures loading and quicker SSD speeds, but that doesn't matter when the previous generations could do all of those things, but maybe 5 seconds slower. I mean, sometimes we are looking at tiny gaps. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes if you compare the M1 against the M3 comes out on top, but most of the time, it's very close, and it doesn't make sense why Apple are doing upgrades every year. Now, you know, we've got to keep on top of stuff. We've got to make sure that all generations are new and everything stays the same. But because these chips are so little upgrades, it's kind of not reasonable to expect people to upgrade every year now. Like, people before would keep their laptops for a long amount of time anyway, but because there was Intel chips in them, they'd have to be upgraded more regularly. But obviously, we're still in the very early stages of Apple Silicon. This is only 4 years old now, so we're yet to see how long these can actually last for, and if they can last for years to come. But the kind of general, you know, speculation, general agreement along everyone is that you don't need to upgrade. If you've already got an M1 Max chip, you don't need to realistically get the M3 unless you are literally trying to get every single bit of power out of your laptop. It doesn't make sense. So what would people recommend? Would I sit here and say to you, yeah, go out and get the M3 MacBook Air when I know that the M2 MacBook Air is cheaper and is basically the same laptop? It's a very difficult decision to say, because, you know, the M1 MacBook Air was an amazing laptop and stayed, you know, for a long amount of time. It stayed for two generations. Now, with the M2 MacBook Air now going down to £1,000, it makes it a lot easier to recommend, because it's got a new design, it's got a better chip, it's got a really good battery life, and it's just an overall really good laptop for if you wanted to get into it. But if you want to have a decent laptop and you're going to be using it for, like, you know, maybe work or storing a lot of files or doing a lot of multitasking, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of storage isn't going to be enough. Now, it can be done. Absolutely, it can be done. But is it going to be easy? Is it going to be a nice experience? No. So you're going to have to upgrade. You're then going to have to get more storage, and then you're going to have to get more RAM. And by then, you're on a £1,500 laptop, and you're questioning whether or not you just go straight to the MacBook Pro. But then if you go to the MacBook Pro, you then have to spec that up again. And then by then, you're already in $2,000 territory. So you've got to be really careful when speccing these laptops up. And that is why I think that the M2 MacBook Air is a good deal, because you can start at £1,000, and yes, maybe you've got up to £1,300, get more storage, because the RAM isn't going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to be opening loads of windows and swapping things here and there. And if you have more storage, the RAM can swap with the storage and give you more RAM. Now, that being said, do I think Apple should change this? Absolutely. I mean, 256 gigabytes of storage as a standard on a laptop is insane. The iPhone 15 Pro Max comes with 256 gigabytes of storage as standard. Now, that is literally the exact same as a MacBook Air. That's ridiculous. That should not be the case, and I don't really agree with that. I think, you know, if you're going to start a laptop at a price, it should at least start with 512 gigabytes, if not 1 terabyte. 1TB is perfect for a lot of people, and I think that is what is needed now for, to future-proof these laptops. If you don't want to have waste, you're going to need to make sure that, people are getting the right amount of storage at the time they buy the laptop. Because people either had to use external hard drives, or they had to buy a whole new laptop because you cannot upgrade it anymore. Where everything is on the Apple Silicon chip, you can't upgrade. So you've got to make sure that you get the right amount of storage at the time of purchasing. Now, would I say to you, don't go out and buy a MacBook and, don't get one first hand? I'd be more inclined to say to you, do not get a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air first hand, because you can find some really amazing deals on some of these laptops, and I think it's honestly a really good idea to look at a second-hand laptop now. Where these Apple Silicon chips are so powerful, you can get a MacBook Pro with a Pro chip in it for about £1,000 that's been spec'd up and has only had slight use. That is what you want, because if you're looking for a laptop that's going to be able to get you by, and you just want something to browse the internet, even the M1 MacBook Air would be a good recommendation for me. For my personal use, I would be someone that would want the MacBook Pro. But that being said, I can see the use for the MacBook Air. It helps people get into video editing, Photoshop. It opens the door for people, because if you have a laptop that's already powerful enough as it is, and can do those things if you really need it to, it kind of opens people's eyes, makes them realize, oh, you know what, I do actually want to get into some photo editing, and maybe later down the line they can upgrade their laptop. They can have a new laptop with a new chip in that's more powerful. So having these really powerful chips on low-end laptops is also a really good idea, and I think that Apple are really smart for doing that, and it's also just a perk of having an Apple Silicon. Now, if you're someone that surfs the internet or just does some light browsing, I'd say the M1 MacBook Air is perfect for you. But if you want something with a new design, you want something that can browse, can do the odd photo editing, video editing here and there, just kind of, some light work on it, M2 MacBook Air is going to be perfect for you. Now, if you want something that's new, speedy, got the best chip possible, M3 MacBook Air is for you. But you're really not losing much on between the M2 MacBook Air and the M3. Other than Apple have now switched their storage back to 2 NAND, which means that you now get super speedy storage regardless of what storage price you go for. So that is one perk from M2 to the M3, so do take that into consideration. Now with the MacBook Pro, I think I don't really need to sit here and tell you what you should get, because people that are looking for a MacBook Pro know what their use cases are for. If you don't know what your use cases are for, then that kind of, to me, is shouting that you need to maybe consider getting a MacBook Air, or you need to get a, base model MacBook Pro with something that's just going to be able to get you by, and it will be able to do for the time being. Now, I think this video for me is trying to tell you that MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, MacBooks in general need to be sorted out, and they need to have a more clear representation of for who they are, because a lot of people just go, oh, M3 chip, brand new, regardless of whether it's been out for a week, 9 months, 10 years, whatever. People will just buy whatever's the newest, and Apple need to make sure these chips are advertised properly and people know what they're buying them for. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. It's been Harry. I'm out. Peace.